Mark Sanchez, Fox NFL analyst, former NFL and USC quarterback. Your reaction when you heard that Tom Brady was finally retiring?
Yeah, I think same as last year, but most importantly, I mean, just welcoming him to the team, I guess, for the first time, right? And I guess thanks for ruining the trajectory of my career for the second time, Tom.
Wow.
You know, I get drafted to the guy's division. Now he's got to come to Fox and ruin everything here. So I'm just, I can't get away from the guy.
So you think
Obviously, I'm saying that in jest. He's the man. He's the best of all time, and I'm fired up to have him. That's pretty cool. And hopefully he doesn't get too annoyed with the hazing that we put him through as rookies here at Fox. It's going to be rough for him.
When you faced Brady, didn't he have a 9-year window when he didn't win a Super Bowl?
Yeah, something like that. He took a little break and then came back pretty strong, I'd say.
Yeah.
That was like the second round, the second Hall of Fame career kind of thing. So,
do you talk at all? I know you've said this before because you were able to play him and, you guys had some success, but do you talk at all prior to the game, pre-game? I know you hug it out after the game, but any conversation at all?
Not really. I mean, that dude was like, he was mysterious, right? And guys like, Jordan, Kobe, that caliber of player like Tom, when you're at the top of the game, like it was hard to just get video. Like I'd go work out in the off season, there'd be a video online like that. Tom goes, and he must have had some device that just shut off cell phone service for like a mile radius, right? Because nobody saw what he did. Nobody talked about what he did. It was just like he did everything in secret, and he wasn't going to give anything away until he started the whole TB12, like, hey, here's the diet, here's the workout stuff. And he started, guys towards the end of their career, they bring along young guys or they mentor young guys or whatever. But when they're still getting to the mountaintop and kind of establishing themselves, they don't give away anything. Everything's tight to the vest. And so, when I'm competing against the guy in New York, dude, you don't even know. It's like Usual Suspects. Kaiser Soze, he's just like, where is this guy? Who is this guy? You see him all the time, but you don't really. And then he just shows up for the game, and it's incredible to watch the trajectory of his career in 22 years or whatever it's been. That's unbelievable.
He had 3 Hall of Fame careers within one career, Mark. Right?
It's, and people ask all the time, like, what sets him apart? Why is he so different? What is it about him? And I think, it's this ability he has, one, to like block out distractions, but 2, to never get bored. And that's really hard for quarterbacks. Like they get to a certain point and it's like, yeah, I got a guy open in the flat, but I'm going to try and fit this ball in down the field, or gosh, this will be my 3rd or 4th touchdown in the game or whatever. Like this dude was just wired different, and he had this laser focus. And, I've heard this from coaches. I've heard this from people in military backgrounds. You don't suddenly get to these big games where the stakes are high and, everybody's excited and all that. And there's all this buildup, and you don't suddenly become faster, smarter, stronger, quicker, more arm strength, more accurate. Like those things don't just show up on game day, right? You don't rise to any occasion. I'm a firm believer that is not real. You sink to the level of your training. You become who you've always been in those moments. And who that guy's always been is somebody who's never been bored with the mundane, the footwork, going over his drops, understanding his weight distribution, and disassociating his hips and shoulders and chucking the ball downfield consistently. He was the guy who like invented working out in your football pads in the off season. Nobody else did that before him. And, that kind of regimen and that kind of dedication to something without getting bored, there's something to that. You're wired a little different to be able to focus like that for that long of a period and sustain success that long.
If Brady is the number 1 quarterback of all time, who's number 2?
Gosh, it was so funny. People were debating that the other day. And obviously, like, I think there's some sort of algorithm. You can come here. My little man's getting ready for school. So we have one question for him. Here, come on this side. Quick. Watch. This is unsolicited,
Okay.
and this is for dinner or no dinner.
Okay.
Who's better, Tom Brady or Dada?
Dada.
Okay, we got dinner tonight. That was good conditioning.
He took his time, though. He did ponder.
No, I know. I thought he was going to say Tom. Way to read the room, buddy. Nice job.
All right, so who's number two?
Well, you got to – I think there's this algorithm of, like, there's a certain amount of points that should be allotted to Super Bowl wins, because some of that is you, some of that is the team. Because look at somebody like Ben Roethlisberger. The first Super Bowl, he didn't do as much. He didn't throw a touchdown. Antoine Randall L threw the touchdown. They were built more like we were my rookie year in 2009. Like, they were a run-first defensive team. The biggest play Ben made was probably saving the tackle on the fumble for Jerome Bettis. Like, that was probably his biggest play. But then later on, Ben Roethlisberger's throwing for 5,000 yards in a season, throwing 6 touchdown passes in consecutive games. So, like, is Ben up there being, what is he, 2-1 or – yeah, 2-1 in Super Bowls, I think, or 1-1, whatever it is. Where's Terry Bradshaw? Where's Joe Montana? Where's Elway? Went to however many Super Bowls, 1-2 at the end and left. Where's Peyton Manning? Where's Eli? He went 2 for 2 in Super Bowl. So I think Super Bowls are something. I think all pros are something. I think the MVP category, because then where do you go with Aaron Rodgers? He's only been to one, but he won it. Then where's Roger Staubach? So, God, I mean, Tom's one for sure. And then where do you put a guy like Patrick Mahomes, who's like already on this crazy trajectory? He's about to, if he wins, he's 2-1 in Super Bowls, which is better than a bunch of guys. He's already been to multiple championship games. That's all he knows, either the championship game loss or a Super Bowl. Like, where does that guy fit? And it's only 6 years in. So,
is he a top 10 quarterback of all time right now?
Who?
Mahomes?
I think 10 is probably fair, only because it's such a small sample size, right? Like, if he wins this Super Bowl and never played another down, he's got to be top 10.
But if I said ability,
just pure.
Now I was changing the question to now. If I just said pure ability playing the position. Because Brady's not necessarily number one.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's
the most talented quarterback of all time is who?
Oof. I'd still say Rodgers is right there. I'd still say Mahomes is probably right there. But they're part of this new style of game.
Elway would be in there too for me.
No doubt, because of the way he could throw it, almost like these guys in a world where they didn't throw it like this. Yeah. But ability-wise, shoot. I mean, you're not dudes who could just straight sling the rock. Where's Marino? Where's Phillip Rivers? Where's Brett Favre? God, like dudes who could just flat out launch it, throw it literally like through someone's body into the guy they want. Like, those guys there's only a few of those guys that come around, every few years, and they are like, the ball just jumps out of their hand. Looks like a jugs machine. That's some special talent.
He's Mark Sanchez, Fox NFL analyst, former quarterback, of course. Help me understand what Sean Payton's role will be in particular, specifically with Russell Wilson. I keep hearing he's going to fix him. What is going to be fixed?
Well, fix is, I didn't look at his final rankings this year where Russ was. I'm sure you guys have a better idea of that. But like, if you do this case study, obviously the last 2 seasons for Russ have probably been his worst. But I think there's plenty to learn from those situations, and he has plenty to fall back on from his prior success. I think one of the huge things for Coach Payton to figure out, and we're actually supposed to do this Super Bowl show. I'm curious if he's going to be there on Monday. We're supposed to do the show with Carissa Thompson, me, and Sean Payton on the panel, and then Glazer's going to be in Arizona when the teams arrive at the arena or wherever they show up, and it's like a whole to-do on Fox's show, like this arrival show.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if Sean's going to be there. I had so many questions for him, and now he might be gone. But if he's there, I'm going to wear him out for you and get all the info. But I just think the biggest thing, like when you get a new coordinator, is like you got to like strip them down, figure out, from your perspective as a coordinator, what does this guy do well, right? And make sure we at least have those in the system. And then what can I teach him based on what he does well? Where can we go? What's the ceiling for us without overloading him and without, you got to almost get to the truth of what happened the last couple of years. Where were you uncomfortable? Why did this happen? You have to go watch some of that tape together, in my opinion. And then, turn the page on that whole deal. And now we're moving forward. We're going to spend our couple days, couple weeks, whatever it takes for them to get to a starting point. And that's kind of like the precursor, the prelude to this whole deal. And then it's full steam ahead. This is what we do. This is how we do it. Here's exactly what our progressions, reads, footwork are. You do that, I can set you up for success. And remember, both of these guys have been successful and have sustained success for a long period of time. So I think there's plenty of meat on the bone there. And, that kind of a new coach like that, I mean, it reinvigorates a locker room. They know where he's coming from. It's NFC championship appearances. It's playoff wins. It's a Super Bowl win with Drew Brees, a guy who's not the tallest guy in the world. I'm sure that has to make Russ feel pretty good. I mean, Drew could sling it from the pocket and, he's bumping 6 feet. I know he's listed at 6'1", but he's like barely there, and that guy was deadly from the pocket. So that hasn't been Russ's strong suit, but Sean Payton's one of the best pocket passing coordinators maybe of all time. I mean, this guy can dial him up, and it's the sequencing, it's protecting the quarterback from himself at times. And that's the job of a coordinator. So it will be interesting. And God, I hope he's on that show on Monday because I really want to talk to him.
I can ask this two different ways. Which quarterback has the most to gain in this Super Bowl, or which quarterback has the most to lose in this Super Bowl?
I don't know because Mahomes has been so established already, I think this just reaffirms who he is, his ability, what he does, his trajectory. I think for someone like Jalen Hurts, he's got a little more to gain because this is like puts him on that map. It puts him on that pedestal of, hey, dude, I was counted out in college, lost my job, boom, went over, Oklahoma. We know the story, kind of snubbed in the draft, felt like he should have been a first-round pick, wasn't. Am I a starter? Am I a backup? Am I a legitimate franchise quarterback? I think this knocks out a lot of doubt and then only raises the bar for him. And now it becomes the expectation like, okay, it's no longer a question if you're a legitimate starter. It is, okay, now you're the guy. You got that Super Bowl in your back pocket. Let's see what you can do again. Can you be the Philly quarterback who wins multiple Super Bowls? And then he's in that, trajectory and that conversation of being one of the best if they can duplicate this. But God, some of the storylines between the Kelsey brothers and Andy Reid going back against his old squad. I mean, this is one of the like coolest Super Bowls I can think of storyline wise. This is it. This is a really good one. And I guess the other thing I love about these two quarterbacks is the way the teams rally around them. Like you see these guys doing the post-game interview and guys go out of their way to make sure they like scream at the reporter, the poor reporter who's trying to get an answer after the game, and into the camera like, this is our dog. This is our guy. We ride or die for this dude. No matter what, whatever direction he's going, I'm going right behind. I'm getting in line and going right behind him because I know he's the man. And both quarterbacks have that. They have it. They have whatever it is that you need to move these men into the right formation, direction, get them to score, get them fired up and rally. And that is fun to watch. It's really like a masterclass on leadership and being the man, being the quarterback in all facets of your life.
Finish this sentence. If the Bengals and Joe Burrow had won that game.
I was, in some ways, I was hoping for it for Joe. If the Bengals and Joe Burrow had won that game, they're in the Super Bowl. I don't know. I mean, I think.
But you're
I don't want to overthink it.
Back-to-back Super Bowls. You've beaten Mahomes again. You beat him in Kansas City again. Now you're moving into a different category if you're Joe Burrow.
I think it would have, yes, it would definitely would have put him in a different category because then you get the second appearance. But, the biggest thing is like, and it's unfortunate the way things work out at times, but like, if you don't win the Super Bowl, it's not like you're unsuccessful. There's different levels to success. Like you can argue what is success, what's not. You're already an NFL quarterback, like that's successful. Okay, fine. But if you're talking about the top of the top, it's like the same reason, and I omitted for no, purposeful reason, but we didn't say Jim Kelly when we were talking about all those players.
Yeah.
And it's you go to all those Super Bowls and you lose, whatever the circumstances may be. He could have played his best in a game, he could have played his worst, whatever, you lose. If Peyton Manning never won a Super Bowl, you sing a different tune about the guy, and it's unfortunate. So I think the biggest thing for him is not only getting back there, but overcoming that, that thing. Steve Young dealt with it for years because he backed up Montana, and then he's got to win the Super Bowl. So when you do, it really establishes yourself, and then now you're duking it out with a bunch of different guys in gold jackets, and okay, who has more rings, this, that, and the other. But that is like the top of the top. So the biggest thing too for a franchise like Cincinnati is shots on goal, like shots in the tournament. One, getting in the postseason. 2 seasons in a row, they made deep runs. Now, is this who they are? If it is, they're gonna mess around and beat somebody, end up in the Super Bowl, and then you roll the dice. But that's essentially what it was for the Patriots for almost 20 years. We're in the tournament. The division's ours. We're in the tournament. Now let's see how far we can go. And some of that's circumstantial based on injuries and whatever. You play a team that's really hot, you run into a buzzsaw. What are you going to do? It happens. But you just want shots on goal. You want attempts. And I think the Bengals are on the right track.
Did Rex Ryan ever tell the defense, do whatever it takes to take Brady out?
I'm sure. I mean, Rex is the kind of guy, like, I didn't sit in all the defensive meetings, but Rex is the kind of guy just assume, like, fight you in the parking lot before the game kind of deal. And whatever happens, like, that's just the way it's going to be. But he also came from a different pedigree of football. Like, his dad's notorious for, his players being out all night before the game and, do whatever they're doing during the week. And, dude, you show up at 1:00 on Sunday and win. I got no beef with you, dude. If you're here to do your job, I don't really care what you do.
But he wouldn't put a bounty out on Brady, would he?
No. I never heard that.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, just curious. Could have
But
said
he definitely
yes.
didn't want him in the game.
Yeah, you could have said yes.
He definitely would rather he wasn't playing.
Yes, that's true.
Whatever circumstances that may
exactly.
be. Like, I'm not saying cheap shot him, but if he happened to not be in the game, that'd be great.
Yeah. We knocked out Bledsoe, and look what happened. If wouldn't have done that. Changed history. Great to talk to you. Thank you for your insights as always.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys.
That's Mark Sanchez, Fox NFL analyst and, of course, former quarterback.